You pray for people, maybe every day. You have a list, names you carry, situations you bring before God, people who don't even know you're interceding for them. You've prayed through other people's marriages, other people's health scares, other people's children, other people's grief. You've gotten on your knees for people who've never once asked how you're doing. And somewhere in the middle of all that intercession, a question has probably crossed your mind. Quickly, quietly, maybe with a little guilt for even thinking it. Who prays for me? Not in a bitter way, not even in a demanding way. Just a real, honest, slightly exhausting question. Who carries my name the way I carry theirs? Who brings me before God when I can't find the words myself? Maybe there's someone, a parent, a friend, who once told you they pray for you, but if you're honest, it doesn't feel like enough because you know what it costs to really carry someone in prayer, and you're not sure anyone is doing that for you with the same weight you do it for everyone else. This video is going to show you something that changes that question entirely, because the answer to who prays for you is not what you think, and it's been true every single day you've been carrying everyone else. Point 1. The weight of being the one who intercedes. There's a particular loneliness that lives inside consistent intercession. You pray for people through their crises and they move on, the crisis resolves, the prayer request gets answered, life continues, and the intercession becomes a memory. But you were there in the middle of it, carrying the weight of someone else's situation before God. And then you move to the next name on the list. Nobody sees intercessory prayer. Nobody knows how much of yourself you pour into it. The friend you've been praying for 3 years doesn't know what it costs you to bring their name before God with the kind of faith they need someone to have for them. The family member who calls you in crisis doesn't know you're still praying about it weeks after the call ended. The intercession happens in private, and because it happens in private, nobody thinks to do it for you. People assume that because you pray so consistently, you must be fine, that your connection to God is so strong, you don't need anyone interceding for you. So they ask you to pray for them, and they should, but they rarely stop to ask who's praying for you. Isaiah 40:28-29 names. There's something underneath this. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow weary or tired. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. The God you've been interceding to doesn't grow weary, which means he is not tired of the weight you've been carrying, and he has not missed a single moment of the intercession that nobody else has seen. What this means for you right now: private cost of your intercession, every name, every sleepless night of prayer, every time you carried someone before God when you were already running on empty. God has seen every moment of it. You have not been invisible to him in the act of making others visible. He's been watching you pray for everyone else, and he has not forgotten to watch for you. Point 2, Jesus is praying for you right now. This is the thing that most people have read and not fully absorbed. Not a comforting idea. A current, active, ongoing reality. Hebrews 7:25 says, "Therefore he is able to save completely those who come to God through him, because he always lives to intercede for them." Always lives to intercede, not lived lives. Present tense. Not once prayed for you at the cross, though he did that too. Right now, at this moment, the Son of God is interceding for you. The person who made galaxies, who holds the universe together, who defeated death, his current occupation, the thing he is doing right now as you read this, is praying for you. The Greek word for always, pantote, means continually, without interruption. There has not been a moment in your life when Jesus was not interceding for you. Not the moment you felt most alone. Not the long seasons when you had no words. Uninterrupted on your behalf. Luke 22:32 gives you a specific example of what this intercession sounds like. Before Peter's worst night, the night he would deny Jesus 3 times, Jesus said to him, "But I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail." Jesus prayed for Peter before the failure, not after. Before Peter knew how badly he was about to fall, before the rooster crowed, before the collapse, the intercession came first. And because Jesus had prayed, Peter's faith didn't end, it broke, and then it was restored. What this means for you right now, today, in whatever is happening in your life, Jesus is interceding for you. Not because you've earned it, not because your prayer list is long enough to deserve reciprocal intercession, because he always lives to do this. The question, who prays for me, has an answer, and the answer is the person with the most direct access to the throne of God. You have never been unrepresented in heaven, not for a single day. Point 3, the Holy Spirit intercedes when you can't. There are seasons when you can't pray, not one can't, when the words don't come, when the grief or the exhaustion or the confusion is so thick that sitting before God feels like sitting in a fog with nothing to say. When you know you should pray, but you open your mouth and there's nothing there, and the silence feels like a failure or distance or evidence that something has broken between you and God. Romans 8:26-27 is written specifically for that moment. In the same way, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. We do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us through wordless groans. And he who searches our hearts knows the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for God's people in accordance with the will of God. The Spirit intercedes through wordless groans. That is not weak language. That is the most intimate language in the New Testament. The Spirit of God takes the thing you cannot put into words, the weight, the confusion, the grief, the exhaustion, and carries it directly to the Father in a form that perfectly expresses what you couldn't articulate. You don't need to find the words. The Spirit already has them. He's been translating your silence into intercession every time you had nothing left to say. And the phrase "in accordance with the will of God" is significant. The Spirit doesn't just intercede for whatever you would have asked if you had the words. He intercedes for what you actually need, which means the wordless prayers, the ones that felt like failure, were actually some of the most perfectly targeted intercession ever offered on your behalf. The silence wasn't empty, it was being translated. What this means for you right now: every moment you couldn't pray, every season you sat in silence because the words were gone, the Spirit was already interceding. The gap you felt between yourself and God in those moments was not real. The connection was maintained by someone who never runs out of words. You have never been without intercession, not even in the silence. Point 4. You were never meant to be the only intercessor in your own life. There's a pattern that develops in people who pray consistently for others. They become so practiced at interceding for everyone else that they forget they are also someone who needs to be prayed for. The role calcifies. You're the one people call when they need prayer, the one who shows up, the one who carries the names, and somewhere in that, the idea of being on the receiving end starts to feel foreign, almost selfish. But Exodus 17 tells a story that breaks that pattern. Moses is holding his arms up during the battle against Amalek. When his arms are raised, Israel prevails. When they fall, Amalek prevails. Moses is the intercessor. He's the one holding the position, but Moses' arms get heavy. And in verse 12, when Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on one side, one on the other, so that his hands remained steady till sunset. Aaron and Hur held his hands up. The intercessor needed someone to hold his arms. The person doing the spiritual heavy lifting needed physical support to keep going. And the text presents this not as Moses' failure, but as how the battle was won. Two people held the arms of the man who couldn't hold them alone, and Israel prevailed. Galatians 6. Two names, the design. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ, each other's. The intercessor's burden needs carrying too. You are not excluded from that design because you're the strong one, the praying one. You need your arms held too. What this means for you right now: if you have never told anyone, "I need someone to pray for me," not a general request, but a real, specific, honest one that is the next right thing. Not because you failed at intercession, because you were never designed to be the only one standing for yourself. The battle isn't won by one person holding their arms up alone. It's won by people who hold each other up. Point 5. What it means to be carried before God. There is a specific comfort in knowing someone is praying for you by name. Not "I'll keep you in my prayers." Someone who actually stops, gets quiet, and brings your specific situation before God with the kind of weight you bring to other people's situations. If you've ever experienced that, you know it's different. It changes something. It makes you feel less alone in a way that nothing else quite does. And that is exactly what is happening for you right now, without you having to ask for it, without you having to earn it, without you even knowing the specific words being used. Psalm 121 verses 1 to 4 says, "I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. He neither slumbers nor sleeps," which means at 3 a.m. when you're awake carrying someone else's burden and wondering who carries yours, he is awake. He has been awake. The intercession over your life has never paused for a night. 1 John 2:1 gives you the specific legal language of what Jesus' intercession looks like on your behalf. "But if anybody does sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ, the righteous one," an advocate. The Greek is parakletos, the same word used for the Holy Spirit, the one who comes alongside. Jesus stands alongside you before the Father, not as a distant intercessor, but as the one who comes to your side, who represents you, who speaks on your behalf. You have never stood before God alone. What this means for you right now, the next time you sit down to pray for everyone else on your list before you begin, let this land you are already being prayed for by name, by the one who knows every detail of your situation better than you do, who intercedes in accordance with what you actually need, who has never once stopped. You are not the only intercessor in your own life. You never were. You have been carrying people before God for a long time, faithfully, quietly, at cost. And the question underneath all of that, the one you haven't said out loud, is simply, does anyone carry me? The answer is yes. The Son of God is interceding for you right now. The Spirit is translating your silence into prayer, and the Father has not slept through a single moment of your life. You have never stood before God unrepresented. Not once. Not even on the days you couldn't pray for yourself. Before you go, leave a comment. Is there something you need prayer for right now? Something you've been carrying alone? Name it here. Sometimes The most important thing is simply letting it be seen. And there are people reading who will pray. Subscribe to Faith Revealed, because every video here exists for the things you're carrying that nobody else knows about. And we're not done yet.